Hey guys, so it's me, Nicolette Mashile, and today I want to talk a little bit about being water wise. And again, remember that none of my videos constitute as financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please do consult a financial advisor who is registered, please. So anyway, guys, let me tell you something, man. In the last two days, I've been waking up, opening the tabs and hearing that kro, kro, kro. You know that sound that tells you, Unsi, there's no water here, sister. And the shock of not having water when you were expecting water in the taps kind of hits you, and you just like, what? Wait, what? We don't have water in the suburbs. We don't have water. They said move to the suburbs. Things would be a little bit better here, but they're not. And the reality is that water, because it's such a scarce resource, it affects everybody. So, because it's such an important resource, it really affects anybody. It doesn't matter ubani, ukalabani, who are you, where you're from. If anything happens to the water system that is supplying water to your house, you must know you are in trouble. So it's been quite a hard last 2 days, but that's not the hardest thing about not having water. The hardest thing about not having water is that it hits your pockets. Why? Because now you gotta walk around looking for water. Now I need to go into the shop and buy bottled water just so I can drink some water. Do you understand that I must buy bottled water and brush my teeth with bottled water? That does not excite me, because that means that I need to take money out of a budget that I don't budget for bottled water, guys. Hell no. I used to budget for bottled water when I thought I was balling. Now I'm no longer balling. You see, with age comes wisdom. And the wisdom that I've received so far is the fact that you don't need to drink bottled water, because bottled water is not special. So I get very confused now when I now need to brush my teeth with bottled water because there's no water. But the reality is that we don't have water, we've got water cuts and water shortages and water whatever, because we as South Africans are not being water wise, guys. We need to be a little bit better in the way we deal with our water. And let me give you an example. When I moved into my house, my pool was leaking. So how did I notice my pool was leaking? Was that every single time the gardener came and filled the pool up, every single morning when I wake up, the water would have been like reduced. And I would ask myself, Guti, what's actually happening here, right? So that is one instance where I realized, Guti, water, we take it for granted, but the reality is that we waste water, right? Not finished. My water meter the other day was leaking. I called and I'm like, guys, my water meter is leaking. And it took a while for my water meter to get fixed. Why? Because I did not report it correctly. So for a while, my water meter was leaking. My pool was leaking. There was such a lot of things that were happening at the same time. And let me tell you what happened when the water bill came. I got the shock of my life because it reflected the water I had wasted, right? The water that was wasting in my house. I then realized, okay, no, now I need to start cutting a budget, because I'm paying a lot of money for water. And the reality is that if I walk around in my house and I start actually becoming a little bit more water wise and realizing that there are certain things that I do not have to do. For one, dripping taps, leaking pipes. The reason why we have not had water in the last 2 days is because one of the pipes burst in the road, right? And when it burst because there isn't actually somebody looking at whether or reporting it when it was leaking. Because usually when it comes to bursts, it doesn't just happen in one day. It means that pipe has been leaking. And all of us who've been residents of this area have been driving past it, seeing the damp area or seeing a little bit of sprinkle, and nobody is saying anything about it. Nobody's reporting it because, if it doesn't affect me, it's not my business. But here's the fact is, it now has affected me in such a big way because my water had to be cut for literally 2 days. So the reason why I'm doing this video is just to remind you that if we're not going to be saving water and we're not going to be looking out for what actually happens when we don't take care of the things that take care of us, we essentially are going to feel it first of all in our pockets, because now, as I said, I'm now having to brush my teeth with bottled water. That don't excite me. Number two, because I did not report my pool or didn't get someone to come and fix my pool and my water meter in time and correctly, I now have to feel it again in my pocket, because City of Johannesburg is doing their job. They're just saying, woo, okay, what is she washing at her house? Why is she using so much water all of a sudden? Meanwhile, back at the ranch, it's my responsibility, because it's my house, to check if I'm wasting water, right? So I just wanted to be very clear and have this conversation to say there are certain things that we might take for granted because it's something that comes every single time when you wake up in the morning, because it's normal that when you open your tap, water runs out, right? We take it really for granted, but the reality is that water is really important to us. And let me tell you for a fact, as a financial fitness bunny, you know that if something happens to your water, it's your pocket that's going to be hit hard the first. You might not feel it in the beginning because you think it's small purchases, but let me tell you, a bottle of water is like 8 rand for like 500 mils, 8 rand, 10 rand, 12 rand, depending on the brand that you're buying. 500 mils for 8 rand. I'm not sure about it, guys. I'm not sure that that is something that I am looking forward to having to live. So if we're not going to be very careful, other than just the hitting us in the pockets, if we are not going to be careful about the way we use our water in this country, we're going to get hit very hard. If we're not going to be very careful about how already we've got a water scarcity. We saw in Cape Town, peeps were struggling. Water was a high commodity. It was a romantic gift to your girlfriend if you're giving her water in the city of Cape Town. Do we really want to get there as Johannesburg? Do we want to get there as Gauteng? Do we want to get there as South Africa, where we now have to be rationed and told how much water we must use in a day because it's going to cost us so much money? It's going to cost the government, and Uguti. Government there to aina mali, so we cannot be wasting water. So I'm just pleading out to everybody that please be water wise. Let's start being water wise. Let's start being people that are actually very aware of what's actually happening. Let's start being people that care about our water in this country. Also, y'all know we got a SASA problem in this country, and we need more funds for guys. Do you know how much they pay people for SASA? I'm just like, guys, we need to free up some money so that our sisters can get a little bit more money when it comes to the SASA grants, because guys, those SASA grants go a long way. But I read a report that says that South Africa loses almost 7 billion rands worth of water every single year. Now imagine if we don't become water wise, we're going to spend probably even more money just trying to get water into the country, and we're going to lose even more money because we're not being water wise, which then means that somewhere the budget's got to get cut, because the thing is, we need water to sustain ourselves, we need water to live, and there's no way government's going to cut water, guys. So now that means government must take money from somewhere else. They must take money from education. Already our grade 4s can't read. Our grade 4s can't read in this country. We can't take money from education. We can't take money from SASA. We can't take money from, everywhere else. So we need to become water wise. We need to make sure that we are taking our responsibility as residents of this country to be a little bit more responsible. If you are seeing a leaking tap in your house, report it, get it fixed, do something as quickly as possible. If your pool is leaking, do something. Don't brush your teeth with the open tap, running water. Pour in a cup. I mean, really. If not for the government, then for your own pocket. Unless, of course, you're boiling 1,000 water gallons. But I'm just saying, let's be water wise, guys. Mwah.